If you consume any sort of entertainment media, you've probably seen this trend of a character archetype that's called Everyman. This trope is created so that the spectator or consumer can relate to the character and feel like they too could ever experience something like what the protagonist is going through. I hate this, and I'm not sure how can anyone like this type of character. So let's talk about it. As a definition that I found on the internet states, a character who is ordinary enough to be relatable to the average audience member. Everyman characters are often working or middle-class people with regular jobs, and they deal with everyday problems, be it school, work, family, or romance. They may also be plunged by chance into extraordinary circumstances such as getting tangled up in a wild caper or adventure. Sounds familiar? Well, if you watch anime, then that's pretty much 90% of isekai anime protagonists out there. So in the past, when I was younger, I didn't exactly knew that this trope even existed. But in my mind, subconsciously, whenever there was a character like this in whatever I was watching, I would drift my preference to the other characters that were not the protagonist. Maybe because the rest of the cast was more interesting, maybe they had a unique design that grabbed my attention, maybe their story had way more complexity than what would someone normally find. And I think that's the problem. In an attempt to cover as much ground for a demographic to relate to your character, you end up creating a nobody. In the real world, people are different. They are unique, they have special attributes that differentiate them from the rest of people. So when you try and create the most generic, bland character, then who would actually want to relate to that? All you're left with is a mediocre character that will inevitably get outshined by the rest of the cast. And I see this happen all the time. There are shows that I've watched where I couldn't even remember who the protagonist was because of how forgettable he was. So now I have to stop and wonder, who is this character for? Who would be so bland and underdeveloped to like this character, who despite not having any redeeming qualities, ends up winning at everything they do? And then I remembered, oh yeah, kids. Throughout a part of our lives, we live through what's known as the tutorial, where we haven't really figured out who we are, what do we enjoy in life, and what exactly will our personality end up becoming. So when yourself is still but a canvas, then what better flavor for you than vanilla, right? At the end of the day, they are still making this type of character in shows or movies. So someone must be happy with them. Despite what I just said, I still think this trope does more harm than good. Even when growing up, I think it's for the better to have more unique and different types of characters to look up to and shape who we end up becoming. Recently, I've been playing Honkai Star Rail, and the protagonist of that game unfortunately falls under this trope as well, which makes it so much worse when the game requires you to invest resources and time into this character that I don't want to see or play as. What do you think of the Everyman trope? As always, I don't know how to end videos, so I'm just going to stop talking now.